Hello and welcome to Armchair Quarterbacks Handicappers as we are hitting the waiver wire. Obviously on this Wednesday, we're also looking at trade targets. And you want to always, of course, buy low and sell high. And that's what we are going to focus on today. Looking at some of the targets that you could be going after in week number 2. You're going to have an overcorrection. You're going to have an overreaction to everything that goes on in the world of fantasy football. People are always so quick to panic, to freak out, to say, oh my God, my team is trash. On the other spectrum, believe that their team is doing really well. The reality is it's only week 1, and there's also 14, not 13 weeks in your regular season in fantasy football this year. So that is a big factor as well. One loss does not a season make, nor does a win make. So you got to look at this in the big picture of fantasy football. Where am I at? Who do I need to buy low? And what guys and gals in my league do I know overreact? There are always guys and gals out there that overreact. There are ones that jump out there and you can kind of pick up on it. You can kind of say, hey, you know, so-and-so always seems to jump on the hype train. There's other people who always lay back and they say, look, I'm not going to make any moves until weeks 5 or 6. You can have success with both, but I tend to side on the fact that strike while the iron is hot. If you can find someone low, go get them. If you can find someone that you can get to sell high, get rid of them before their stock plummets. So let's go ahead and start with the ones to buy low. The ones to buy low, some of these are unrealistic, but you got to put feelers out there. Look at Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had a very bad week 1. Najee Harris, I think that one might be a little more realistic. It's a rookie. He had a very disappointing week 1. Najee Harris will be the lead back in Pittsburgh and should have his opportunities to have very, very big games. Same thing with the rookie in Atlanta, Kyle Pitts. Did someone draft him, and are they freaking out a little bit? Are they saying, man, I really should have went here, I should have went there? You might be able to make it trade for trade on a tight end situation where a guy goes out. You might be able to sell high on a Jawan Johnson. You might be able to sell high on a Logan Thomas. If someone is freaking out about how bad Atlanta Falcons looked in week number 1, Mike Davis and Kyle Pitts are guys that you can buy low right now. Another Mike you might like, Mike Evans. He had a terrible week 1, but we know that he is the guy that Brady looks for in the end zone. It was a different game script. Mike Evans should be one that you should be out there looking for. Take a look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, a horrific week number 1. He is going to go off against the Detroit Lions week number 2, and it's going to be too late to buy low. Aaron Rodgers is one you want to go after. What about CEH? A lot of people are freaking out about CEH. He had 14 carries, didn't have a lot of production, but his 14 carries were 13 more than anyone else in the backfield. So CEH is a guy that you can buy low on right now. Javonte Williams. Gordon had the one big run, the 70-yard touchdown. Take that away, Javonte Williams will be that running back in the Denver backfield by midseason. He still had 14 carries. He just didn't have the big run, but he still had decent production and decent amount of touches. Another guy that you're looking at to sell or to buy low, Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is a guy that you might be able to go out and get someone who is a middle round running back who has decent talent, but no one is on that Saquon level. Saquon should be good to go by week 4, week 5. I'm earmarking week 3 is when I would want to start him. Saquon Barkley is going to have a tough matchup again tomorrow. You might want to wait one more game. And at that point, Saquon Barkley is going to be the guy that everyone's going to be panicking about because he should have a very limited role this week. You're looking at a very tough Washington defense. Wait till Friday morning. You might be able to snipe Saquon Barkley, from a lot of teams. Another guy that you should buy low on, Derrick Henry. Now, that one's a little unrealistic. Everyone knows how good Derrick Henry is. But if you can go out and you can get a Derrick Henry and give up someone like an Antonio Gibson who had a pretty good game, there are fantasy footballers out there that will freak out and trade high because they just don't know what to do. Other guys who have had bad games in week 1 but are elite Allen Robinson. Everyone's freaking out about Allen Robinson. Remember something. He's still one of the top 10 wide receivers in all the National Football League, and Justin Fields is on the way. There's no way the Red Rocket is the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears going forward the entire year. Justin Fields will be the starting quarterback in Chicago. It's just going to take a few games for them to feel like he's got the playbook under his belt. Julio Jones, another buy low candidate. He had a rough outing. The entire Tennessee Titan team had a rough outing. Most of your Titans can be grabbed with a reasonable trade after week number 1. We just talked about him a second ago. Justin Fields is a quarterback you want to go out there and grab on the waiver wire. He's available in about half the leagues out there. Justin Fields will be a number 1 starter by the end of the season. He will be a quarterback 1. Justin Fields has that kind of talent. Zach Wilson is another one. If he is not available, if Fields is not available, Zach Wilson is going to put up monster numbers this year with New York. And when he gets rolling, people are going to want him. A receiver, 2 receivers on the buy low. Laviska Shenault, the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's going to be worked into that offense because they have not given the type of touches that you would have expected them to give in week number 1 to James Robinson. So that's a concern. And they're going to be behind a lot. Shenault is the perfect talent to run that jet sweep that Urban Meyer is known for. So keep your eye on Laviska Shenault. He might be available in leagues. You might be able to make a really, really cheap trade for him. Laviska Shenault should be someone that by the end of the season, you'll be glad you'll have on his roster. And Mike Williams. Mike Williams, he might be the number 2 receiver for the Chargers, but the Chargers are going to chuck that ball around, and you want to have one of those options in your offense. Even if he's sitting on your bench, Mike Williams is a hell of a stash, but he could be a wide receiver 3, a flex play for most teams in most leagues. These are guys who sell high that people still have big opinions on, but they're destined for a terrible, terrible season, considering where they were drafted. Number 1, I am not convinced Ezekiel Elliott is someone who is going to go out there and put up big numbers this year. You don't want to sell him too low, meaning you don't want to give Ezekiel Elliott up for a bunch of bums, but if you can squeeze down and you can move down and you can drop Zeke and into a trade where someone might be willing to give you a chance at Austin Eckler, someone might make a trade with you for David Montgomery. Those are the types of moves I'm talking about. Ezekiel Elliott was a top 5 top 7 pick. He is someone that I think should have been, if you go into a redraft, he's probably going to go more close to like the late 2nd round. And there are plenty of running backs out there that'll get you the same kind of production the Ezekiel Elliott get, and you'll feel a little better about it. The next guy on the list that you want to sell high on, this one is number 1 on the bullet. If you've got Melvin Gordon on your list, on your roster, absolutely get rid of him. He's not going to have a flashier game than he will in week number 1, where it was a 70-yard touchdown run that inflated his stats. You take that 70-yard touchdown away, he had a really, really pedestrian week number 1. Sell high on Melvin Gordon. Sell high on Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders had an okay week number 1. He had no touches in the red zone. Gainwell looks like he is going to be vulturing Miles Sanders. If you can't get rid of Miles Sanders, you better go out and handcuff Sanders with Gainwell. Next guy up, and this is going to sound crazy, Tyler Lockett will not have a bigger ceiling shown than he will have had this past weekend. He almost had 200 yards receiving. Big play after big play. Tyler Lockett is famously known for just not showing up on Sunday. Don't let the people in your fantasy league remember that. Get him sold. Sell him for guys who may have underperformed. You could probably sell a Tyler Lockett for an A.J. Brown right now. You could probably sell a Tyler Lockett. You might even be able to get a wide receiver that's even a little higher than that, because people overreact to the first week of the fantasy season more than they do any other one. Another guy to sell high, if you've got him, Mark Ingram. If you know there's a team in your league that is struggling for running backs, and they're out there, you sell high on a running back like Mark Ingram. If you picked him up off the waiver wire, if you just had him for whatever reason, 26 carries, 85 yards, you do the math. The average isn't very good. It's just barely over 3 yards a carry. But then also you have to take into consideration, how often are the Houston Texans going to be leading a game where their running back, Mark Ingram, is going to get 26 carries. And to end this list, we got a couple more names to throw out at you. What about Antonio Brown? Had a big game Thursday night, fresh on everybody's mind. Everyone wanted him on the waiver wire. Antonio Brown is in an offense that has so many mouths to feed, it's going to be hard to get consistent production out of him. You will not have a bigger ceiling, a bigger splash than right after the Thursday night game where everybody watched him play. Sell Antonio Brown now. You'll thank me later. Tyson Williams, he was the big pickup last week after Edwards was injured. And of course, that was after J.K. Dobbins got injured. So everyone figured, hey, Tyson Williams is going to be the man. Still only got 9 carries. That's not what you want out of your main tailback. Tyson Williams is a guy that you can probably trade up the draft board, and you can probably get someone. You could probably get someone to get. I'll give you one. You go ahead and you give up Tyson Williams to go grab Mike Davis of Atlanta. Davis looked terrible, but it had a lot to do with the game script. That would be an easy yes for me. Sterling Shepard. This is another guy who had a big game, but he's been known to just disappear. And with Daniel Jones as his quarterback, you never know when the next big game is going to happen. Sell him and sell him fast. The Gronk. Everyone loves the Gronk. The funny commercials. Just a guy that everyone seems to just love. He scores 2 touchdowns on Thursday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. You think that's not resonating in people's minds? They love having the Gronk. They think these touchdowns are just going to come and come and come. That's not how it works. And he does not have the volume, the receptions, the yards to carry you in weeks where he doesn't score a touchdown. Sell the Gronk and sell him high. I saw a trade in one of my leagues yesterday where Gronk was being traded over to Kyle Pitts. There were a couple other parts, but that's the kind of buy low that you can get right now because people overrate the Gronk. Jamal Williams had a pretty good game with the Lions, but unless you're in a deep PPR league, he's not a guy you're going to be starting every week. So if you can couple him in with someone else in a trade, people start getting really excited and overhyping one decent outing. Brandon Cooks, same situation. I was talking about this all season. Draft Brandon Cooks. He's doing incredibly too low. He had his big game in week number 1. We don't know when that's going to happen again. If you're going to sell him, you better sell him now. David Carr, over 400 yards passing. But if you look at the way he sprayed the ball around, he is consistently just going to Darren Waller. That's going to be an issue going forward because defenses will adapt to that. Derrick Carr is a sell high candidate, and I mean fast. There's not many times Derrick Carr is going to go out there and throw for 400 yards. And one more guy, a rookie that everyone got excited about because he did put up big numbers, Trevor Lawrence. He is going to be running for his life the entire season. If you watch that game, the offensive line is atrocious. Yes, he had the 330 yards. Yes, he went out there and got 3 touchdowns for the Jaguar offense. But a lot of that was in garbage time, and he's going to go up against defenses where they're going to grind it out, and he's not going to get those opportunities. Sell high, buy low. We'll see you next week. Watch the Handicappers every single Sunday, 10 a.m. to noon, where all the guys are with me, and we'll tell you who to start them, who to sit them, who to DFS, and your betting odds out in Vegas. Have a great rest of your day.